Call it in the air.
Heads.
Tails.
Ah.
That's me. You're listening to XVGM Radio. Welcome to XVGM Radio, where the bits keep coming. I'm Justin.
And I'm Mike.
And this is episode 46, Reverse Picks.
This is an interesting episode.
This is really interesting, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, no, it's going to be awesome. So, I've never seen any podcast, video game music podcast, to clarify, do this. And maybe it's just because I'm bad and I don't listen to a ton of them, which is really bad, but Reverse Picks is basically Justin picking my tracks or songs that he thinks I would like, and I'm going to pick tracks that I think Justin will like. And we both have similar but different taste in music, I would say.
We both have fairly eclectic taste in music, but we diverge a little bit.
Yeah. I think I go more on the metal side, you go more on the EDM side and the goth side and stuff like that.
Yeah.
First off, I don't know Justin's picks, and he doesn't know my picks. So even the intro song that we came up on, I had no idea that Justin was going to pick that, and the only reason why we did a flip coin for that is because we both were like, hey, we should pick a song. I didn't want to pick both of our tracks,
right,
you know, so it just kind of worked out that way.
Yeah, I think I had said, I think the only way that it makes sense is either we collaboratively pick something together, or we just pick our own things and then flip a coin.
Right, which doesn't, if we both picked something together, it wouldn't make any sense because that's not the core of the episode. So I figured a versus thing would be much more fitting.
But yeah, no, it's a really cool concept. I would say that the closest thing that I can think of that I've heard other VGM podcasts do is VG Embassy has done a thing called blind listener.
Right,
it's where a listener will say, hey Ed, listen to the soundtrack, but don't listen to it before you record it.
Right,
and that's. Yeah, it's kind of similar because the whole having not heard it, but I like the versus aspect. Essentially, we're gonna rate the song.
Yes.
So Mike's gonna rate the songs that I pick for him from 1 to 5 stars, and I'm gonna do the same thing. And
we're gonna see who wins. There's no prize. I don't know.
Prize is my undying respect.
Yes.
That's a gentleman's bet.
And
bring him the gentleman.
My prize to you is an unlimited supply of marshmallows whenever you come over.
Sweet.
Yeah, man, you got it.
I'm going to ruin you.
So, before we get to the episode, we did want to mention real quick that episode 50 is right around the corner.
Yes, it is.
And if you haven't heard by now, it is very special because we are going to do fan picks, which is where you pick the tracks. You do not have to be a Patreon donator or contributor or supporter. You just have to be a normal person slash
might be
human.
a tall order.
Yes, person slash human.
You just need to be a being with a computer and an email address. Just send us an email.
Yeah, even if like you're an alien, you know, I mean, it's
even
cool.
better.
Yeah,
I'm down.
like I'd be cool. I'd be cool with like listening to what an alien picks for our episodes. That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah.
Send your request. It's one per person to xvgmradio@gmail.com. If it is a track that we've already picked, we cannot play it. But we will, of course, tell you if you send it to us promptly. So get your entries in. I think, what was our cutoff date? It was like mid-March or something like that.
By, mid-March.
Yeah.
I think March. We might have even said March 15th.
Yeah, I think March 15th is what we went with, if I recall. So have your entries in by March 15th. So that way we can gather them all up and then put them on the show. If you can, send us an audio testimonial or just a little quick blurb, a couple sentences as to why you picked the track, what it means to you, etc., etc. That would be awesome. So that way we can read it or play it on the air.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So anyways, this episode, the intro song that you picked, what did you play for us?
So what folks heard there was Bad to the Bone, or at least the rock and roll racing cover of it. Mm-hmm. So this was on the SNES in 1993.
Right.
And the original song was done by George Thorogood, and the SNES cover arrangement was done by Tim Follin.
Yes, Lord Tim Follin.
Lord Follin.
Lord of VGM Follin. Yeah. That was fun. I've heard several tracks off of this, and they're all pretty good. I mean, it's nothing to really write home about, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It's not bad. It's not amazing. It doesn't blow me over. It's just like, yeah, cool. This is a Super NES cover of, Bad to the Bone.
That's why I picked it for the intro.
Yes. Yeah. And who does the original? Would you say George Thorogood?
Thorogood.
Okay. I don't know why, but I always think it's like Steppenwolf.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
No clue. So why did you pick this as your intro?
So I actually picked this because of a conversation that we had
a
while ago. I was joking about, well, not really joking, but I was lamenting how I was having a hard time with finding certain tracks, and you were giving me some pointers, some stuff to do.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't remember if you said rock and roll racing or if I said rock and roll racing.
You did. Okay. I remember that. Yeah.
And then I said, like, I didn't want to just like pick stuff from that because it's basically literally rock songs.
Right.
That done on a console.
Yeah.
So that after that conversation, I was like, you know what, this could be a good intro.
Yeah. I guess we'll get into our first pick. So this is going to be your first pick for me, and we'll be rating 0 to 5. Again, I don't know what Justin picked. Justin doesn't know what I picked. So we're going to have Justin go first since this is his episode. What do you got?
All right. So the first song that we are going to hear is going to be from the game Brutal Legend.
Okay.
It came out in the Xbox 360 and the PS3 in 2009. This track is called 11 O'Clock is a Direction, and it is by Peter McConnell.
Okay.
All right, welcome back from that thrashing song.
My head, my neck.
That was 11 O'Clock is a Direction from Brutal Legend, which was an Xbox 360 and PS3 game that came out in 2009, and it was composed by Peter McConnell.
I feel like the name of that song is like a Faith No More track.
Oh my god.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's fair.
Totally. And then the song itself is just like straight up like old school, like 83 Metallica Kill 'Em All thrash. And it even has that guitar tone that like it really kind of sounded like something off Kill 'Em All. It was cool. It was very cool.
So I did good.
You did good, Justin. Yeah. You and you know what? Brutal Legend is an interesting game because I now own it.
Oh, you do?
I bought it for like $3 at like a game store recently, fairly recently. I have played the demo when the demo came out, and I started playing that. And then my buddy Scott really loves this game. And he bought the full game when it came out, and he was like, "I got some bad news for you." And I was like, "What's that?" And he was like, "So I like the game. You may not like it because you're not." At the time, I was a little more anti-strategy. I really didn't like strategy games. Now I'm starting to get a little more into them. I guess I have Project X Zone to thank for that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I started to get into them because of those games. But apparently, once you beat the demo portion of the game, which is a very like action oriented kind of thing, then it goes into this part of the game where it's just like real-time strategy. And so a lot of people I remember were really angry about that, because when you lead off a demo with a very action oriented style and you don't showcase that real-time strategy element, if the whole game is like that, you're going to turn a bunch of people off from wanting to play the game.
I remember hearing about that when it came out, and I never really heard the full story as to like what happened. I just remember a lot of people being very angry that like the demo was like this, but the actual game is totally different. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, the game is fun. Like the at least the demo portion was really fun. Yeah. And if you're a heavy metal fan, it's even more fun because I was
going to say the music in this game,
awesome.
This is one of the first things that I went to find a track for you.
And there's all licensed stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, that was the first thing I noticed, because I was looking up obviously metal games with metal music.
Sure.
And I mean, Rock and Roll Racing came up. There was a handful of other ones, but this one came up, and I went to look at it, and I was like, oh, this is all licensed music.
Yeah.
And then I walked away from it for a bit, and then I came back. I was like, let me just take a look, because even games with licensed music usually have some kind of like OST. So there's like
Saints Row.
Yeah. And there was.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm so glad I came back to this, because then I heard some of the stuff that Peter McConnell composed, and wow, is it good.
Super awesome. Yeah. I'm going to have to check out the soundtrack. It's all licensed music, and there's even like characters from the bands in the game.
I was going to say, isn't Eddie in there?
From Iron Maiden?
Yeah. Oh, no, Eddie's the name of the main character.
Right. The main character is played by Jack Black, who in and of itself, he's a huge metal fan, like lifelong Ronnie James Dio fan.
Really?
And,
I never would have
Oh, yeah. And he is a great singer in Tenacious D, the comedy metal rock band, hard rock band. It's basically one of these things where he's a roadie.
Yeah.
And he gets crushed by one of the stage props, and then it goes into this serene dream-like thing where I don't know, he like dies, or maybe he does. I think he dies because there's like blood on the ground or whatever.
Yeah, well,
I haven't finished the game, so I don't know if he like comes back to life or whatever. But.
Yeah, well, the opening, I was reading the thing about the opening, and I guess when he gets crushed, some of his blood lands on his belt buckle, which is an amulet for an event called Ormageddon.
Right. So basically, you're playing as him in the game, and you have like this battle axe or whatever, and you're like running around like killing everything, and it's pretty cool. And like I said, I haven't gotten past the demo, but there's a later part where like you meet this like super metal chick, lady, girl, woman, and you get in the car, this like hot rod car or whatever. Then you're like running away from something. You got to like make all these jumps and stuff. It's pretty cool. So it's very action oriented, and then. From what I understand, it definitely changes. But I'm going to hopefully one day like make it past the demo and check out the rest of the game, because with all the participation from the metal community of people like Ozzy Osbourne, and I think Rob Halford's in there from Judas Priest, and a bunch of other metal people and metal sound. And it's got a metal soundtrack, so it's worth checking out. I think I'll probably dig it.
Nice.
Yeah. So good pick. Rating it 0 to 5, I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a solid 4. So we'll mark that one.
Cool.
So speaking of Peter McConnell, what has he done?
So Peter McConnell started out doing music in Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge. It came out in 1991. I think we've talked about that game before.
Yes, I believe
Sounds
so.
familiar.
Yeah.
Went on to do music in a whole bunch of Star Wars games. The Star Wars X-Wing line and the Star Wars TIE Fighter line came out in 1993 and 1994. Dark Forces in 95. He did music composition in Grim Fandango in 1998. More Star Wars stuff, Episode 1 Racer, Pod Racer, Sims 2 Castaway in 2007. Let's jump up to more recent stuff. He did music supervision on Connectimals in 2010.
Okay.
Sly Cooper, Thieves in Time in 2013.
I've wanted to play those games for a while.
The Sly Cooper games?
All of them.
I have a friend who's obsessed with them. They look like a lot of fun.
They do.
It's like Jack and Daxter, Crash Bandicoot, that whole mascot era had a lot of really good stuff in there.
Yeah, on the PlayStation, yeah. My big issue with it is those games are exclusive basically to PS2, and if you wanted to play a higher definition version of them, they released the trilogy on PS3.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But I don't want to buy a PS3, so I'm waiting on the PS5 to come out, and hopefully it's backwards compatible. Anyways.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Just to wrap up, they did some additional music in World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth in 2018, and their last credit is the main theme in Irony Curtain from Matryoshka with Love in 2019.
Okay. Well, Justin, are you ready for your first pick?
I am. What do you got?
All right. So we're going to play a 3DS game which came out in 2012. The game is Harmonite. And the song is City Lights. This was composed by Minako Adachi and a few composers from Pure Sound Inc. We'll get into them when we return. All right, we are back, and you just heard Justin's first pick, and that was from a game called Harmonite that came out in the 3DS in 2012. The song was called City Lights, and it's by Minako Adachi, as well as 3 different Pure Sound Inc. composers, Nobuo Kiyota, Kyoto Otani, and Kiyohiro Sada. So what'd you think of that one?
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was pretty goofy.
I think that is the epitome of some of the fun stuff that we've played in the past. It's got a lot of big band sound in there, which was great. I really liked the rhythm piano. Like it was keeping the rhythm, but you could still really hear. It wasn't quite front and center, but it was front and center enough that I could kind of get into the piano groove.
Yeah,
I really appreciated the back and forth between the sax and the trumpets. And then my last note here was that a marimba solo?
I was really feeling in this one the funk vibe.
Yes.
Especially with those trumpets, how they kind of like curled the notes at the end, like the like that. Yeah. That was a lot of fun. So it was just, when I was picking tracks for you, I specifically was like, I got to pick fun stuff. Because a lot of the stuff that you pick is very vibrant and very fun, and typically from either really popular games or like rhythm games or stuff like that. So like I know you're a big like rhythm music game fan. So I was like, what is a game that he's probably never played? And
I have not played this game.
You should get, because you do have a 2DS, right?
Yes.
And you probably never play it because you have your Switch now, right?
Well, my wife plays the Switch more than anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
my 2DS stays in my bag, actually.
Oh, cool. Okay. So definitely download this one if you can, if you like rhythm-based games. It's a rhythm action game. It is, I think, still kind of pricey, like $13-14 maybe, or $8. I don't know.
That's not too bad.
That's not too bad for a game like this.
Is it download only?
It is download only, yeah. No physical version. So it's kind of like I don't want to say Greek style, but it has a lot of elements in it that kind of feel like Greek or like Roman, like mythology, sort of like Norse sort of stuff, as far as like the characters, the way they dress. But it is taking place on a planet called Melodia.
Ooh.
And you play as this kid named Tempo, and he has a little rabbit bunny friend named Tappy. And Tappy is basically the narrator or the voice of the game, in the sense that when you are learning about your paladin powers and abilities and stuff like that, Tempo basically runs around. It is a auto-scrolling game where Tempo is always running or walking. He's mostly like sprinting, I would say. And you are hitting bad guys to the time of the music with a giant note stick or a giant note sword. So the sword is shaped like a note, like a quarter note or whatever.
Neat.
The plot involves a meteor that crash lands on the planet, and with that comes a evil army called the Noizoids, and they're led by a bad guy named Gargan. And so he starts, kind of ruining the whole planet area. So you are sent by a kind of like Splinter-esque, from Ninja Turtles-esque character named Woodwind to go to a place called Symphony City, and you have to deliver like the note that will make you turn into a Harmonite, which I guess is like, the ultimate, I haven't finished the game, so I don't know, but I'm like, I would say I'm like 3 worlds in. It's styled initially like Mario 3, where there's like a map, and then you move between levels, and each level, like you can get like gold, like three notes that are gold or whatever, like a rainbow note. I can't remember the specifics behind it, but you can, if you're really good with your rhythm and your timing, and you're able to kill all the bad guys and get all the secrets and all that, you'll get, I think, a gold note or like 3 gold notes or something like that. And the point is to go back and replay the game levels, the old levels, so that way you can get better at the rhythm and everything. And there's boss battles and everything. It's a really clever game. And then you end up meeting a character named Lyra, and she has a lot more of the Greek kind of mythology kind of look to her. She's got like the battle armor, like the Valkyrie kind of style battle armor. And she uses a crossbow, and so you're attacking with her as well. So it's cool. It's cool. I think you'll dig it. Yeah, I think you'll dig it. So it's worth checking out. And the music's all like this. It's all very lighthearted, very fun. A lot of like big band type elements in it. So
that's really cool.
Yeah,
sweet.
Good stuff. The composers on this one, Minako Adachi, I know we've talked about before. She's mostly been, I'm like 99% sure it's a she. So if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I'm almost positive Minako Adachi is a female, and that she goes by she for her pronouns. But she started off in '96 with Robo Pit, which I believe is a Genesis game, and then worked on the Summon Night series with Summon Night 1 and 2. Did some sound effects for Resident Evil Code Veronica X in 2001, and continued working on Summon Night with the Summon Night Swordcraft story and Summon Night 3. Did the music for Zelda Oracle of Ages and Seasons.
Okay. Yeah.
And so basically working for Pure Sound on that one. Left Pure Sound, I'm pretty sure, and then started working on the Pokemon series.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say she did, what is it, Black and White, I think?
I believe pretty much almost everything. Did Black, Pokemon Black, Pokemon White, Pokemon X, Pokemon Y. Pretty much everything up till Pokemon Sword this year. Yep. Yeah, so that's her newest credit. Nice. For the rest of the composers, they're labeled as part of Pure Sound Inc. So starting with Nobuyo Kiyota, their first game was Summon Night Swordcraft Story 2, where they did sound and production assistance. So mostly started off as like a sound editor, And then they continued working on games like Frogger 3D, Half Minute Hero they did sound effects on, Summon Night 4. So again, continuing with the Summon Night series all the way up till 5. The latest game that they worked on, well, there's 2 of note. One is Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology, one of my favorites. That's 2017. That was they did sound effects on that. Yep. And then Metal Max Zeno in 2018, which is actually getting a re-release on the Switch pretty soon. Kyoto Otani also has very similar credits. I'll kind of highlight some of the stuff that I didn't mention before. Avalon Code in 2008, Nights in the Nightmare in 2008. This would be a good one for my show on my channel, Gaming Linguistics. Yggdra Union?
Wait, Yggdra.
Is it Yggdra?
It's
YGGDRA. YGGDRA.
You're familiar with Yggdrasil, right?
No.
From Norse mythology? Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
The world tree in Norse mythology is called Yggdrasil.
Yggdrasil. Okay. So yeah, this is Yggdra Union Will Never Fight Alone in 2006. Latest game was Metal Max Zeno. And finally, last composer Kiyohiro Sada started off working on Stinger in 1986. So a long time composer for Konami, doing stuff like Russian Attack in 87, Blades of Steel, Contra. They did sound creation on Abadox, The Deadly Inner War, so they moved over to Natsume. Very similar to Ikumizutani, who also started off with Konami, moved over to Natsume. Spanky's Quest in 91 did sound on that. Again, really? You got a laugh out of you?
Spanky's Quest?
Yeah.
Then yeah.
I'm normally the one that laughs at stuff like that. Okay. No judgment. I just think it's funny that I didn't. Then did the sound drivers for Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages and Seasons. Again, part of this Pure Sound Inc. company. Latest game they were credited for was, again, Metal Max Zeno in 2018. They're credited as supervisor.
That game looks pretty cool, actually.
Metal Max Zeno?
Yeah.
It looks really good, and I want to pick it up, but knowing that it's getting a Switch port, I'm going to hold off.
Okay.
All right, Justin, what do you rank my pick?
All right, so this is rough because I don't know what else is coming. So far
rank
this
it based
is top of the list for me.
Okay.
No, so I'd probably put this at about a 3 or 4 out of 5 stars.
Well, you have to pick one, 3 or 4.
3 or 4, but if I pick 4, I can't pick 4 again.
No, you can.
Oh, I can?
Yeah.
Oh, then 4.
Okay. All right. So what pick do you have for me coming up next?
All right, so next up, we're changing gears, moving away from the metal a little bit. The game for this one is called The Sexy Brutale. And it is on the Xbox One, PS4, Windows, and Switch. It came out in 2017. The track is called What's Your Poison, or in parentheses, The Bar, and it was composed by Matt Bonham and Tim Cotterell.
Cool.
Welcome back to XVGM Radio from the Sexy Brutal. That was
that name.
Yes, indeed. I still don't even know what the name means. I'll talk about the game in a minute. But
okay, then.
So this came out in the Xbox One, PS4, Windows, Switch in 2017. Mm-hmm. The track is called "What's Your Poison?" The Bar, and it was composed by Matt Bonham and Tim Cotterell.
That's a great name for a track.
What's
your poison? The bar. Cool. I was digging this one. I mean, I'm a pretty big fan of jazz. I think the thing with jazz with me though is it's very much an aesthetic thing. Mm-hmm. Like it is like an audio aesthetic thing. Like I like listening to it when it's on. It's not my go-to for music. If I'm going to listen to something, I'm going to listen to something metal or dance or VGM or whatever. But like I generally don't actively search fusion. I do actively listen to fusion, and I used to listen to a lot more jazz like this or stuff like even older like Louis Armstrong, like that type of stuff. But this in particular, I'm just I do like it. It's a lot of fun to listen to, but it's definitely more of a vibe thing than anything.
That's fair.
You know, I dig all the instrumentation here, the trumpets, the horns, everything, the bass, just the entire thing just kind of oozes personality. And I'm very curious to know what this plays during, as far as the actual gameplay.
This plays during the bar.
Yeah.
So, well, let me tell you a little bit about the game.
Yeah.
So, the Sexy Brutal is an adventure puzzle game. So it's not like a first-person shooter or
right.
Like a run and gun. It is adventures and puzzles. But you will play this character whose name is Lafcadio Boone. He's a preacher, and he wakes up at the beginning of the game during this party that happens once a year, and the party is called the Sexy Brutal.
Okay. Now I get the name.
Yep. And it's hosted by a man named Lucas Bonds in a giant casino mansion.
Okay.
So he wakes up, and this woman, known as the Bloody Girl, gives him a mask.
Okay.
And when he takes this mask, he kind of gains this power, and he gets ripped out of a time loop that he didn't know that he was stuck in. Everybody in the party is stuck in a time loop.
So it's like the Matrix?
Not really.
Matrix? No? Okay.
No, because you're not ripped out of like reality. He's pulled out of the time loop. Like he can break the time loop.
Okay.
And everybody at this party is reliving the same 12 hours.
So it's like Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, kind of like
go.
So he's like Bill Murray. But so he's got to figure out basically how to save everybody at this party, how to prevent everybody from dying or reliving the same 12 hours over and over.
Right.
To start, she also gives you this watch, which allows you to kind of go through the time.
Okay.
It only allows you to get through 5 hours. You actually have to, one of the people that you save fixes the watch, and then you get access to the whole 12 hours.
Okay.
And every time you save someone, you get basically like they give you a mask, they know you somehow, and you absorb the power of the mask, and you get more abilities to save.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a really neat concept.
That's cool. I think what would make or break that for me is the graphics. Adventure games typically, I got to see the graphics, I got to play it. If it's too messy and all over the place, or if it's way too over the top cartoony, it usually would turn me off. But it's got to be like that, Goldilocks kind of in the middle. Not too hot, not too cold, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The
graphics on this one, I'm still actually trying to find a decent picture. I mean, there's plenty of good pictures, but they're all at really weird angles.
Oh.
So
okay then.
It looks like, so it's 3D. It looks like it's semi-isometric. I'm guessing you can change the view.
Okay.
And
like a rotating box sort of thing.
Yeah. Like you can go through the rooms of this mansion, and there's a lot of stuff in here that's what's the word? It's a casino mansion, so there's a lot of casino games and stuff.
Right.
But as far as the characters, I thought they were kind of chibi or super deformed at first. But looking at it now, I don't think that's actually the case. I think it's just the way that one of the characters was standing at one point. But yeah, like the characters have kind of like long faces or tall heads and sort of squat bodies. So it's almost super deformed, but it's more of a Western style than like the anime style.
Interesting. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Neat.
So the composers on this game, we've got Matt Bonham. He's credited for doing Lowrider Sound Limited, so I'm guessing that's the company he worked for, for Top Drives in 2017. This game, Blackwood Crossing as well in 2017, he's listed for Lowrider Sound. And then in a game called Forza Street in 2018, he did sound design.
Okay.
And then we have Tim Cotterell, just has 2 audio credits. There's this one for composition and Blackwood Crossing in 2017 for Lowrider Sound.
Cool. Awesome.
So what'd you think of that one? As far as your rating goes.
I did like it. I don't know if it's better than the last song, though, so I'm going to give it a 3.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, you ready for your next pick?
I am.
All right, let's do it. So this next song is from a licensed game.
Ooh.
And it came out in 1994 on the Sega Genesis. It also came out in the Super NES and Game Boy, but this song in particular is off
Jurassic
of
Park?
No.
Okay.
Is off of the Genesis. It is Animaniacs.
Nice.
And the track is Studio 2 Part 1, and this is by Seiya Murai.
Nice.
XVGM Radio.
And we're back. That was Justin's second pick. That was a song called Studio 2 Part 1. It's by Seiya Murai, and it's from the Animaniacs Genesis game. It came out in 1994. It also came out in the Super NES and Game Boy, but those are different games,
right.
Slightly different soundtracks, and different games in general. The Game Boy game is very similar to the Genesis game, but the Super Nintendo game is different. It's weird. I'll explain. But so yeah, Studio 2 Part 1. What did you think of that one?
It was really cute. I feel like we haven't talked about the Genesis in some time.
We haven't, no.
I know that, that there's this image of me hating Genesises and like killing them and throwing them into trash bags. I just made that all up.
You did.
But no, so this one, I recall my first complaint about the Genesis being that like the drum sounds sounded like
Twarmpy.
Twarmpy, or sounded like somebody took a bass drum and threw it in the mud.
Right.
I actually feel like the drums in this one are pretty spot on.
That's Konami for you.
Yeah. Like the drums are very clear. Like it sounds like big and boisterous. Like I feel like I'm hearing somebody hit it, like banging on a timpani. And I mean the crash cymbal definitely sounds synthesized, but there's something cute about that. That it makes
A little bit of a sustain there.
Yeah. But this one was really cool. It felt very different from your last pick.
Yeah.
This one was very airy, kind of like a soaring melody that was
Yes.
just like soaring above everything. And the synth that carried that main melody, I really liked the quality of it. Like it sounded really cool, and then I didn't notice it until closer to the end. But you were talking about it with the trumpets in the last song.
Yeah.
They did something similar there, where there's like a warble or like a tremolo at the end of some of those sustained notes. So this one was really really cute.
Yeah, no, super cute, fun song. I really dug this one, and it's funny because I made a mental note that I love this track. And we were talking about this in between some of our breaks earlier, where we were concerned that some of the tracks that we were picking, we were more like, oh man, this is an awesome song, but wait, would Justin pick this song? And I think in this circumstance, you would pick this song.
I agree. I think this is a song that I would pick.
Yeah, mostly due to the lighthearted cuteness of the synth and the lead and the melody. So, and of course, your never-ending quest to find Genesis music that doesn't sound twarmpy.
Yes.
So,
and this was spot on the mark.
yeah, no, for sure. Konami, they are just like legends when it comes to the sound of the Genesis. Almost everything that they put out, with a couple of exceptions, but almost everything they put out sound-wise just kills, just slays. This game is pretty interesting. This is obviously a licensed game based on the Animaniacs franchise, the WB cartoon series. And in the game, you play as Yakko, Wacko, and Dot. And what you do is you have to switch between the characters.
Kind of like Lost Vikings?
Yes. Very similar to Lost Vikings, actually. So the whole thing is you are trying to go from movie set to movie set, and all the movie sets have like different names to them that are like actually like kind of referencing like actual movies and stuff. This one I think takes place in a Star Wars based level. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a really tough game too. It's very difficult. But once you get it and once you get into the groove of it, you're like, oh, because there'll be a lot of times where you're like, I don't know what to do here. Or you'll be like, I don't know how to get up there. And so when you're playing it, you got to kind of switch between the characters and try to figure out what they, between what they do. I think Wacko has the hammer and can like press down on switches and stuff like that, if I recall. And Yakko, who's like the tall one. Yeah, he pushes boxes, if I recall. And then Dot like woos the
of course.
She like blows a kiss or something and like woos the bad guys so that way you can like get past them or whatever. So or like attack them or whatever. So it feels more like an action puzzle game than anything. The whole point is to get from point A to point B, and to do that you've got to basically rearrange different parts of the level to fit so that way you can advance. It's really unique, really fun, very Lost Vikings-ish. So if you like Lost Vikings and you want an awesome Konami soundtrack to go with your wacky Animaniacs stuff, I would suggest this one. It's nice and cheap. It's like probably a $5 game anywhere. So it's well worth it, well worth picking up. The Super NES version is different. I would say it's graphically much more impressive. The characters have a lot cleaner look to them, and it's a little different. It's more of an action game than an action puzzle game, and it's not bad. It's just different. I walked away from playing both games preferring the Genesis version, oddly enough. And the Game Boy version is just like a shorter, due to like space constraints, shorter version of the Genesis version, which is odd because you would figure that it would be a shorter version of the Super NES version. But no, it's not the case. Factor 5 worked on the Game Boy port, so they always do good work.
Neat. This sounds kind of like the SNES Tiny Toons game Buster Bust Loose, where each level, I mean, I bring it up legitimately.
Each level you bust loose.
Right. But each level is like a movie set.
Right.
And then I think the last level is actually the Star Wars set. It's just, it's funny that there's that kind of parallel. And obviously, I think those are both Konami games.
They are, yeah.
They're both WB, so they're in the same universe, close enough anyway.
Exactly. I remember seeing this game and playing it and being like, yo, this is a Justin game. This is definitely a Justin retro game, because I know you love your like licensed action platformers. So this you definitely need to pick up.
Sounds like it. Yes.
Yeah. So what do you rank it out of 5?
I think I'm gonna have to give this one a 4 as well. I like this one, I think, as much as the Harmonite one, but for different reasons.
Okay. Very good. So the composer on this one, Seiya Murai, worked on a lot of Konami stuff. Started with Vulcan Venture in 92, which is actually, I believe, Gradius 2. Daytona Twinbee in 92, Marshall Champion in 93, Tokimeki Memorial, which is a Japanese exclusive dating sim that Koji Igarashi also worked on. That was his 94 release. He did some Tiny Toon stuff. He did a couple other games here and there throughout the 90s, and then from 2000 onward, he was a Beatmania and Poppin' Music guy.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to your next pick for me. What do you got?
All right. Well, oddly enough, I also have a Sega-related thing.
Oh.
Coming at you from this side of the desk is going to be Sega Rally Championship. This is an arcade and Saturn game that came out in 1995, and the track is called My Dear Friend Rally by Takanobu Mitsuyoshi. Welcome back to Sega Rally Championship. Can you feel the heartbeat of the night? That was my dear friend Rally from Sega Rally Championship on the arcade and Saturn systems in 1995, composed by Takanobu Mitsuyoshi.
Yo, that was so good. Thank you for picking that one. That is
You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Awesome. I don't think I've ever danced so much in my chair. I was grooving to that. That was a tasty track. It combines so many elements of music that I love. The dance vibe, for sure. It's got a little bit of a Latin vibe in there, too. It's not quite freestyle or anything like that. It's just straight up like just a dancey 80s track that you would hear in Japan. Like, this is straight up Japan. It had the guitar solos. It had the dance vibes. It's got, I don't think this is Takanobu Mitsuyoshi, because this is a lot better than what he does on, like, Daytona, for example. I mean that might be true. Brew Skies. Like, you can't.
Yeah, no, the person in this, I didn't feel that they had much of a Japanese accent. I mean, it could very well be a Japanese singer,
right?
But
I think it was.
Yeah, it didn't feel like Daytona.
Yeah. It wasn't. It was cheesy, but it was like high society cheesy.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah,
like brie.
Yeah. This is the brie of video game music. Brie cheese. So, oh man, so good. I'm definitely gonna be jamming that one at some point in the near future. So I've played Sega Rally and I don't remember this song. Yeah? This is actually one of the few racing games that I have that I play, like, I don't know, like I play it more.
Is this the Game Over Yeah one?
Yeah, Game Over Yeah. Yeah. Like, I owned it in my collection, but I only owned it because, like, our mutual friend Eric was like, you gotta get this game. And I was like, it's $5, sure. So I picked up a complete copy of it, kept it in my collection, whatever. And then he came over one day and we were like, oh, let's play a bunch of Saturn stuff. So I was like, cool, yeah, let's do it. Booted up Sega Rally Championship. And then when the Game Over Yeah part came up, I was like, yo, this game was cool, but now it's just like goofy cool. Like, it's just a game to hang out with your friends and play a fun racing game,
Yeah. I wonder if maybe the song was in the arcade version. I'm sure there's always differences between the arcade and the console releases.
I was reading about it, and I guess they had to rebuild the game almost from scratch to be on the Saturn, which makes sense because development on the Saturn was pretty tough, especially for 3D. And this is a 3D racer, Yeah, I guess the music was composed by Takanobu Mitsuyoshi, but then the Saturn port was like a mix of like new music by Naofumi Hataya and also like arrangements of the arcade songs too. So I would even add Naofumi Hataya to this one.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that when I looked it up, but
yeah,
good point. So, instant clarification corner, the vocals in that track were actually done by Naoki Takao. So Moby Games only lists them for being a studio musician for a game called Oninaki. But if you look up that track that we played by name, my dear friend Rally, it comes up with Naoki Takao as the actual vocalist for that. So.
Okay, yeah. So what was your inspiration for picking this one?
I mean, this one was just straight up. I know how much we love to listen to and laugh about the Daytona song.
Right.
So I wanted to find something that was equally exuberant.
Okay.
I didn't feel like this one was as funny because, like I said, it didn't sound funny. It didn't feel like there was a lot of weird English or anything.
Right.
Feel the Heartbeat of the Night sounds like something that an American band in the 80s would have said.
Or a Japanese band in like the 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Japan musically is always like 10 years behind everybody else. I don't know why. All right, so the composers on this one.
Yep. So
we already talked about Takanobu Mitsuyoshi in previous episodes, but
fill
us in again. I
guess. Real quick, we'll go. Started out with Rent a Hero in 1991, doing sound. Fighters Megamix in 1996, Virtua Fighter 4 and Evolution in 2001-2002 did voices. J-League Victory Goal in 96, he was a musician on, and then we'll just go more recently, Daytona Championship USA in 2017 did the music, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in 2018, like every other composer in the world, did some musical arrangement,
right?
And then he was sound director on Shenmue 1 and 2 in 2018.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Naofumi Hataya started out with Super Monaco GP in 1990. They did sound effects. And then if we go on with some of their musical work, they did Kiss Shot in 1992, Golden Axe 3 in 93, their Saturn conversion for Resident Evil in 1997, the sound conversion. They composed on Daytona USA in 2000, Super Galdelic Hour in 2001, Sonic Heroes in 2003. More recently, they have done Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games in 2013. They did music composition. Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games in 2016. And then most recently, Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. They did sound effect production.
Oh, very cool.
2018.
Nice.
So let's go ahead and rate this one.
I'm 5. Definitely a 5. Oh, for sure. Dope song.
Nice.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right. So let's go into your next pick. I think you'll dig this one. This is a Super NES game, and it came out in 1994. It's pretty much exclusive to the console, and it is from a game called Live Alive, or Live Alive.
Yeah.
This song is called Sound of Shinobi, and it's by the always very lovely and talented Yoko Shimomura. Hey, you're back, and that was Live Alive, or Live Alive? I can never remember.
I think it might be Live Alive.
I thought it was Live Alive.
So in the Japanese for it is Raibu Raibu. So
Live Alive?
Yeah. That's,
okay, that makes sense.
I can't say for sure, but that's my guess.
Makes sense. Another gaming linguistics thing.
There you go.
So that was Super NES exclusive that came out in 1994. And that was Sound of Shinobi, and it's by Yoko Shimomura. What do you think of that one?
This one was neat. I kind of got the almost either cutscene or menu music vibe from
Okay,
this.
I could see that.
I don't know anything about this game. So the very first thing that I heard when it started, before it actually got into some of the more musical stuff, is it had a very similar beat to like the Velt theme. And then everything else came in and I was like, okay, this is totally different.
It did actually get ported to Virtual Console on the Wii U, apparently, as well as the new Nintendo 3DS in Japan. So not totally 100% exclusive to Super NES, but original release, it was exclusive.
And if it's Virtual Console, then it's not like it was updated or anything. So
right.
It's Virtual Console for the SNES.
Yeah.
So.
This is an interesting Squaresoft game that was developed by Squaresoft, and you essentially play as like 7 different characters in 7 different chapters. None of the chapters are related, supposedly, but it's all based on like different types of like genres, such as like sci-fi and fantasy, western stuff, that type of thing. So each chapter that you play has a totally separate plot and locations and even characters.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
There's like some levels that have like stealth elements.
Yeah, like the Shinobi level.
Most likely the Shinobi level, but it's pretty cool. So yeah, there's multiple different chapters. As far as the music itself goes, Yoko Shimomura, she's done a ton of stuff. We've talked about her numerous times on the show.
We almost spent an entire episode talking about her with Mario RPG.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, she's done Mario RPG stuff. She did Radiant Historia, which we talked about a little earlier. She did Street Fighter 2. And one of the things I wanted to mention about Street Fighter 2 is this song kind of reminds me of Street Fighter 2, Chun-Li's theme.
Yeah, I can see that.
That melody kind of, it's got like in this song, and that kind of almost feels like a callback to it or like an echo of the song. So it was neat.
I can see that.
Yeah.
This one had a lot of like Japanese or Asian instruments in it, or instrument samples in it, which gave it a really cool feel. Obviously, a very Asian feel.
No shamisen though.
I was just gonna ask. I was like, "Where's the shamisen? How are you gonna play me an Asian song?
How
and not have
dare I? How dare I?
But I thought I'd heard a shamisen at first, and then more I listened, I was like, no, it's not a shamisen.
I said the same thing. I was like, is that shamisen? No.
But one of the things that I caught that I thought was really, I mean, I don't know if it's odd, if it's neat, or what anybody else would think about it, but the bass that plays throughout this, I don't know if it was something about the sample, but it was really cool and it was really jamming. But there's a few parts where like the bass actually warps because the way that they pitched the sample.
Oh yeah,
and I think it sounds really neat. I mean, some people might listen to it and be like, oh, that's a glitch, or that doesn't sound right. I thought it was just neat the way that sample bends.
Those Square Super Nintendo sound fonts or sound styles are just so, like, every time I listen to this song, it just reminds me of Chrono Trigger. So especially with that bass, the do do do. I mean, like, if you just like changed it up a little bit, it'd be do 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 do, little Chrono Trigger. So yeah, I dug this track and I was like, I feel like Justin would pick this because it's got the Asian kind of style and Japanese kind of style to it. It's got the worldly instruments, but at the same time, it's got really killer bass. And I specifically, like, I know you always like love to point out bass and bass lines, and I know that's your jam, so that's why I picked this one.
It's a good pick. I like it.
And Square, Super Nintendo, sort of an RPG, so action RPG, yeah. So rating on this one.
So this one I would probably rate a 3-star.
3. All right. Cool.
It was fun. It was catchy. I don't think it quite comes up to.
It's not. It doesn't wow you though.
Yeah.
It's not like wow.
So speaking of nothing, my next pick for you.
Really? That's your segue?
I have no segue.
Speaking of nothing. Okay. What do you got for me?
Speaking of saving the world.
Okay.
My next pick for you is from an Xbox classic. This came out in 2001. This is Halo Combat Evolved.
Oh.
And the track is called Rock Anthem for Saving the World.
Okay, then. I'm intrigued.
It's composed by Martin O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore. That was an oldie but a goodie. Halo Combat Evolved came out on the Xbox in 2001. Rock Anthem for Saving the World was composed by Martin O'Donnell. He's marked as lead, and Michael Salvatore is marked as additional music.
This song was great. I really was digging it. The problem with it is I wanted more, and it stopped short for me.
It is a very short. It's only like a minute and 19 seconds.
I was like, yo, this is so good, but why so short? So that and because it was just so crazy and electric and just it had that Halo theme, but slightly a higher octave. So I really dug playing the original Halo. I have a lot of nostalgia for it. Even though I didn't own an Xbox back in the day, I own one now. I remember the original Halo coming out along with, at the same time as Smash Brothers Melee for the GameCube. And I was, of course, gung-ho Nintendo fanboy, so I went to GameCube, and that's all I would do in college, just play that game. But then when I would come back home for like winter break or whatever during college, I would play Halo with some of my friends at our friend Sean's house. So we would go over his house and hang out, and we would do the linking of the two TVs.
Say the LAN parties and stuff?
Yeah, we would do LAN parties, and we would play Halo. We did like Blood Gulch and like all the multiplayer maps, and we would do co-op, and it was like one of those rare circumstances where like I loved playing co-op in that game. And like even now, like I wish that more people, because I don't know a lot of my friends that like playing Halo. Like I think some of my online friends do, but not a lot of like friends, like people that I more play video games with, like in the same room or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where like it'd be cool to do like a couch local co-op run in Halo games. Believe it or not, I think the Wii has the best first-person shooter controls of like any of the consoles. Yeah.
I'm trying to think, what was the name of that game?
Well, like Metroid Prime.
Yep. Oh,
plays fantastic on it. There's several. There's like Medal of Honor games. There's Conduit. Conduit.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, Conduit 1 and 2. There's Call of Duty. There's a bunch of different first-person shooters, but every first-person shooter I've ever played on the Wii is like hands down the best controls I've ever played on first-person shooter. Because I'm a console loyalist, and I remember, like, back in the day, the N64 era, I was always the one that was like, nah, man, like, Perfect Dark, like, best controls, like, of any first-person shooter or whatever.
At the time,
it was really good. Yeah, and I mean, we talked all about it on the Perfect Dark episode, but, like, I remember working at a game store, and Halo was so big. Halo 2 was about to come out, and they did like a midnight launch for it, and I wasn't working that day because I had it off, and I remember stopping by anyways to like get a game or pick up my check or something like that. I was in college, and so I show up, and I'm sitting there chatting with the manager who I was not a fan of, and he and I were talking, and he had his posse there who were like super Halo fans. And I was kind of like trash talking the game, and I was like,
yeah, I mean, it's good. It's just, it's no Perfect Dark. What? Like, Perfect Dark's the best, man.
Yo, get out.
So, but.
And now Microsoft owns Rare, so.
Yeah, so maybe we'll see Perfect Dark. I don't know. There's rumors going around right now. Perfect Dark.
I have heard some things.
We'll see.
So speaking of music,
yes,
the composers on this one, Martin O'Donnell, basically a Bungie loyalist,
right?
So started out actually with Cyan doing Riven, the sequel to Myst in 1997. They did sound design and stuff, and then they started doing music on Myth, The Fallen Lords in 97, Myth 2, Soulblighter in 98, and then eventually, here's the part where I was talking about Bungie. So they did Oni in 2001, and then from there got on the Halo train. Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2, 0, 3, 4, 5, all of the Halos. I don't. Oh no, there's Reach. It's all here.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So a Halo guy.
Yes.
Cool.
And then Michael Salvatore started out, some good ones in here, with his friend Marty, apparently, because they're both listed for Riven. And then Myth 2, Oni, Halo, Stubbs the Zombie, and Rebel Without a Pulse in 2005.
Okay. That had a pretty good soundtrack.
Yes, that-
a lot of licensed like oldies.
Yep, because it was like taking place in the 50s or something.
Yeah.
Disney Guilty Party in 2010, and then going straight up, looks like all the Halos for him as well, all the way up to Halo 5 Forge in 2016, and their last credit here is Destiny 2 in 2017.
Cool. I give this a 3.
A 3?
Yeah.
Right.
It needed to be longer.
Yeah, I was going to say, just a little too short.
The length, too short for me. All right, so we're going from a first-person shooter to a side-scrolling shooter. It's also known as a shmup, a shoot-'em-up, a shooty-shooty. This is a track called Stage 3-1, also known as Heavy Blow. It's by Hidenori Maezawa and Yuki Morimoto. It came out on the Famicom in 1988. There were other versions of the game, but this is specifically the Famicom one. It's Gradius 2.
Whoa!
Sweet! Hey, welcome back to XVGM Radio. That was Gradius 2, the Famicom game, or Famicom port, that was released in 1988. And that song was Stage 3-1, also called Heavy Blow. And it's by Hidenori Maezawa and Yuki Morimoto.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Was this one of the games that took use of extra sound channels or anything?
I don't believe so.
No? Okay.
No. I did hear some interesting little, like, ticks
Yeah.
in there that I was like, is that something, like, new or extra? But I just think it was some white noise or whatever. Yeah.
Because Gradius 2, did that not come out in America?
It did not. Not on the Famicom or not on the
Not the
NES.
NES. Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
It did
yeah.
not. It's a Famicom exclusive as far as that port or that version. My friend on YouTube, Wes, Nefarious Wes, says that I think that this is his favorite version of Gradius, or this is his favorite Gradius game.
Yeah.
At least on the NES. So I've heard it's really good. I've seen playthroughs of it. It looks a lot of fun. So, and it's got a great soundtrack.
I really, really love the sound font on this. The original Gradius, it's the same sound font. This one just has better music.
Right.
But the original Gradius kind of set the tone for a lot of the things that I liked in NES and early chiptune music. So hearing this and hearing it taken basically to the next level is just fantastic. Like I love Gradius 3, but that's also that's SNES. It's a different sound, different feel.
Yep.
And even though that's my favorite of the Gradius series, like I can't compare it to Gradius 2 because I haven't played it.
Right.
And
right.
I think just to get this out of the way now, I think this is my 5-star.
Nice. Sweet. That's good for me. I kind of picked an instant win. I kind of knew that you were going to give me a high score for Gradius because it's Gradius and it's you. So, because I know you're a big fan of the franchise. So, yeah. Have you played the newer ones? Like 5 and
No, I don't have played anything past 3 or 4.
4.
What was on the PlayStation had one that had collection?
Well, the PlayStation 2 had 5, and then I think there was a collection that came out on the PSP.
Might have been the PSP collection that I played. I don't believe I've played 5. I think I've played 1, 3, and I feel like I've played 4 somehow, some way.
Cool. So Hidenori Maezawa and Yuki Morimoto were the composers. Hidenori Maezawa, we've definitely talked about before on the episode, a longtime Konami composer, as well as sound design in general. Did a lot of work for them. Also, what's up with this game being called Vulcan Venture? I see it being called Vulcan Venture on the internet, but like every single box art that I found for it calls it Gradius 2.
So apparently, I was actually looking this up. Gradius 2 is the name of the game, obviously. And Vulcan Venture is what the arcade game was known outside of Japan.
Ah, okay, so that makes sense. Okay. So he did work on Life Force in 1987. He also apparently contributed to Castlevania, the first game, which I don't know about that. The only thing I would say is if he did contribute, it wasn't composition-wise, I believe. I believe that would be maybe he just did like the sound driver or something like that, because that was definitely
maybe
two different
one of the ports.
Maybe. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it may not be the NES one.
That's a good point. I mean, it says 1986. Maybe it's the MSX version. Who knows? Worked on The Adventures of Bayou Burley in 1988. Worked on some other Ultra Games released titles. The TMNT game. He is uncredited for that one, but he did that one. Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse in 1989. Super Contra in 1990. Sunset Riders, he was the sound advisor. Lethal Enforcers, he did sound effects work. And then he later on joined up with Capcom to do work on Tatsunoko vs. Capcom Ultimate All-Stars in 2010. You ever played that game? Really fun fighter. Super fun. I mean, if you like Marvel vs. Capcom, this is like silly anime.
Wait, did you say Tatsunoko versus?
Tatsunoko
yes, I had it on the Wii.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really fun. And so that's the last game that he's credited for in terms of composition. Yeah. And then Yuki Morimoto started off with this game, but I believe it's the arcade port or the arcade version because it's credited as Vulcan Venture in 1988. Then followed it up with Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, Gradius 3, he was a sound editor on, and Tiny Toon Adventures Buster Bust Loose in 92. And then followed it up with some Ganbare Goemon titles. And the last game was Ganbare Goemon Kira Kira Dochu Boku ga Dancer ni Nata Wake, which came out on the Super NES. And that is it. So we rated the track, and we're good to go to move on to, I think, what? Your final pick?
My final pick.
For me. All right, what do you got?
All right, so the last surprise pick of this episode from me to you is the opening theme from a game called 10,000 Bullets.
Oh, I've heard of this game.
Yeah, this is a PS2 game, came out in 2005. It was composed by Yasunori Mitsuda and Miki Higashino.
I've never heard anything off of this, so this will be a treat. Ooh.
Welcome back. That was my last pick for Mike for this episode. The game was 10,000 Bullets, came out in the PS2 in 2005. That was the opening theme, composed by Yasunori Mitsuda and Miki Higashino.
Oh man, did anybody else while listening to this go 3, 2, 1, let's jam right before the beat dropped with those horns?
Oh yes.
Very Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, it very much felt like that song Tank.
I agree. Yeah. Good stuff. It's no secret that I love this type of music, so it's just super fun, energetic, bouncy, but not like metal, not dance. It's just, it uses that big band vibe mixed with some jazz, and it just brings it. It's just a raw, rockin' song. Good stuff. Good pick. So, I've heard of this game.
Probably have.
I have.
It didn't get a whole lot of good press.
It did not, no.
Didn't seem to do very well. The game itself follows a character by the name of Crow, who's a hitman living in Ireland and working for an Italian mafia out of Ireland, apparently, known as the Tonio family. And he possesses a special gunslinger ability. He can use bullet time, so like you can slow down time and whatnot. And he got this power from his mother, who is a fortune teller who was murdered, and his whole thing is he wants to find out who killed his mother and get revenge and stuff like that.
So it's like Max Payne.
Yeah, kind of like that. And that's, I think, where the problems came, is because the game was very formulaic and it used bullet time, and it didn't do anything new to the genre. So overall, the reviews were like, it's okay. Like, it got 27 out of 40 from Weekly Famitsu in Japan. It didn't do all that well in the rating sphere because it was a fun game. I guess there were a few issues, but the overall problem with it is that it just wasn't bringing anything new. It was like, we've played this game before. Right.
It's kind of like a Japanese take on Max Payne, or like Dead to Rights, or Wet, those types of games.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. I'm still interested in it, though. I mean, like, if there's nothing theoretically wrong with the game in the sense that it's not bad camera or really terrible controls, because those are like the make it break it's for you, or non-memorable characters, that sort of thing. If all that's there, I don't see any reason, even if it's compared to another game series, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, the problems that were noted by one of the reviewers were a faulty camera and lock-on system issues, bland environments, and tedious adventure mode. But like, I don't know how faulty a faulty camera is. Is it like impossible to move?
Right.
Is it just occasionally problematic?
Yeah, and in a shooter like this, like an action shooting type game, you need tight controls, so that I could see that being a problem.
But considering it's on the PS2, I can't imagine that it was much worse than any of the other third-person shooters.
Probably the reason why it never came over here, because they probably knew that, it was going to tank. So they probably were like, all right, let's not release it.
But the soundtrack is pretty neat.
Yeah.
This is my favorite song that I listened to on it, but because it was so energetic, that I had a feeling that it would be something that you would enjoy.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of, like the bebop, acid jazz stuff. But you know what? Again, it's a very similar thing like what I was talking about earlier with jazz. This is not my go-to for music, in the sense, like, I would listen to it if somebody was playing it, or if I was listening to it in like a game in-game. I don't necessarily know if I would pop this on in my car driving around, like, it wouldn't be my go-to. But at the same time, I don't think I've ever heard any bands that sound like this. I'm not saying that there aren't any, but I don't believe that, like, this type of music I've mostly heard in either anime or like games. So I've never really heard like a band be like, oh yeah, we're an acid jazz or a bebop band. I'm sure there are, from back in the day, or even maybe some that have been resurrected now. But it'd be cool to do like a acid jazz episode or a bebop episode. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that'd be down for that. Yeah. So I'm gonna give this one a 4.
Okay.
Because I was really digging the song. It had a good length to it. It wasn't too short, wasn't too long, and I love that vibe. And of course, anything that throws back to Cowboy Bebop is cool in my eyes. So
fair enough.
At least sound wise.
So these composers for 10,000 Bullets, Yasunori Mitsuda.
I think we've talked about him maybe once or twice.
Probably a couple times.
Probably.
Just to give people a quick overview, started out doing sound effects in Final Fantasy V in 1992, did the music for Xenogears in 1998, did sound effects for Final Fantasy Anthology in 99, did the music for Chrono Cross in 99, Shadow Hearts in 2001, Chrono Trigger in 95, Tobal number 1 in 96, getting a little more current here. Did music on Xenoblade Chronicles in 2010, Terra Battle in 2014, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in 2017, and finally, he was a guest composer on Final Fantasy 15 Episode Ignis. And then we have Miki Higashino, started out doing sound editing in Life Force in 1986, started doing music composition on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 1989, came back to do Gradius 3, sound editing in 89, did music in Contra 3 The Alien Wars, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters, Morio Senki Madara 2 in 93, towards the end of their resume, Suikoden 2 in 1998, 10,000 Bullets in 2005. I guess they must have come out of retirement for that one. Their last credit is an uncredited for I Want to Be the Guy, the movie, the game.
Right. Okay, cool. All right, so let's get into your last pick.
I'm so excited.
Oh man, this is from a game that I don't think you're expecting. And I don't know if this is going to be a Justin Jam, but let's see if it is. The game came out on the PlayStation 2 in 2000, so like right around the launch time. And the track is called Music World Fast. It's by Koto Hoshino and Ikuya Ichinohe. This is Adventures of Cookie and Cream. Welcome back to our final break. That was Adventures of Cookie and Cream. That came out on the PlayStation 2 in the year 2000. That track was Music World Fast, and it was by Koto Hoshino and Ikuya Ichinohe.
That was really weird.
Right? It was weird, but like it felt like something you would pick. And I could be totally wrong, but I was listening to it and I was like, I feel like Justin would pick this. I'm getting a Justin vibe from this.
You know, it's because of that one time that I picked that weird track from Daffy Duck Marvin Mission.
I really do think that could be it. Maybe.
Probably.
You set the bar for yourself.
For weirdness. Yeah, no, I did. Back on Pixel Tunes, one of my guest spots, I totally set the bar for weirdness.
Yes.
And I mean, that's fair. I've been known to pick some pretty weird tracks. Mm-hmm. This one, I don't know if it was too weird for me or what, but it was a wild ride. It started out sounding very silly, like almost like something that I would hear in one of like the Tiny Toon games or something like that.
I agree.
Definitely one of the like Warner Brothers Toon type games, because I could see it in like one of the Daffy Duck, like any of those. Yeah,
like with the whole like tapping, you know, the orchestra, the conductor tapping on the music stand,
and just the instruments and the way that they sound and everything. The thing that throws me off the most in this song is whatever they're using as a percussion sample or a percussion instrument sounds like the sound effect you'd hear in a beat 'em up of somebody getting hit. It sounds like somebody's getting punched every time. So I'm just laughing to myself.
To allow myself to explain why I thought that you would pick it based on that sound effect.
Really?
Is I got this vibe like, oh, maybe it's like a dance thing, like an EDM type thing, you know? You know, I was thinking that, but now the more I think about it, it's kind of like a weird hip hop vibe too, if you think about it.
A little bit. The only thing that I would say that would make this better for me is if that sound effect or if that percussion was actually softer. I felt that it was a little too loud.
Yeah,
and
I
agree.
Overtook
a lot of the song. But other than that,
should have been a wood block.
I think that or that Japanese dunk
Yeah.
instrument, which is basically a woodblock.
Right.
I agree. I think that would sound really interesting too. So I don't think this was bad, but I do think that it was strange, which is appropriate.
Very well said.
Which is appropriate.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how to score this. We're gonna have to come back to this.
Okay.
After you explain this game.
Sure. So I own this game, but I have not played it yet, and there's a reason for that, because it is designed to be a 2-player game, a cooperative game. So it's known as Kuri Mix in Japan and also Europe. I don't know why Europe kept the Japanese title, but here in the U.S. it's called Adventures of Cookie and Cream. It's developed by From Software, so already a very weird company, maker of Dark Souls and some other weird type games. So it was ported to the DS as well. I had a lot of trouble finding this. This is, for the record, a YouTube rip, because I could not find this song anywhere for this specific version. So it was ported to the DS as just Cookie and Cream. They changed it up a little bit as far as the gameplay, which I'll explain in a sec. The game, you play as 2 different characters that are bunnies. One is called Cookie. They call it Chestnut in the European and Japanese version stuff. And Cream is the other one. And again, so Cookie and Cream. I don't know why Chestnut and Cream. That doesn't make any sense, but okay. I don't know. So anyways, they're on their way back to their home. And they're, I guess, part of some sort of bunny clan. And the clan has this festival called the Moon Festival. And what ends up happening is they end up, while they're going home, they meet up with this person who's like delivering a message to them and advises them that the moon is gone. I don't know why they didn't know that. Like, wouldn't you like look up at the sky and be like,
hey, where's
see
the moon?
Stars? No.
Yeah.
That popped into my head just as I said it, and I was like, wait a minute, what game is that from? And then I thought, oh yeah, it's Parappa. Look up in the sky. See stars? So they said that the moon is gone, and that if nobody finds it, then they won't be able to do another festival the next year.
You can't have a moon festival without a moon.
That is fact. So they are given a crown as a symbol of courage by this messenger, which allows them to go on this journey to retrieve the moon. So that's the story. The gameplay is like a action. It's like if I recall, it's like a top-down or like Crash Bandicoot style visuals, but it's like top-down or like the camera's behind but above the characters, if I recall, and you are each controlling a different character. So that's why it's preferred to play the game in 2-player. You can do 1-player where you control both Cookie and Cream at the same time. But in 2-player, I would control one, you would control the other, for example. On the DS version, they made it one person does the top screen, the other person does the bottom screen, but I think they're still playing on the same system. Or they can connect through Wi-Fi or wireless.
I was gonna say, is this I just noticed it was
On the
Nintendo
DS.
DS. So
Yeah.
is this what do they call that? Share play or whatever?
Local play. I think it's local multiplayer. Yeah, you could do like local. Like if you had a 3DS and I had a 3DS and we both had this game, I think we'd be able to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm remembering games like what was it? I want to say the Mario Kart game or maybe Mario 64. There was a handful of games in the beginning of the DS's life where you had a game, you put the cartridge in, and then you go into, I can't remember the name of the mode.
Yeah.
But somebody else with a DS that didn't have the game.
Oh.
Could turn on.
No, I think you
download.
both. I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it either,
Maybe it's
but
download play?
might be download play. But no, this one I believe works off of each person has to have the game in order to play it. So yeah, it's not like that. So yeah, both games can be, either game can be played 1 or 2 players. It's just because it was designed with a 2-player mode, it's more fun to play the game in 2 players. It also, I feel like there's a lot more like, okay, what do I do? Like, oh man, like there's a lot more like hectic feeling, a little bit more frantic between two players. Whereas one player would be like, I'm stupid, I should have done this instead of that, that sort of thing. You just kind of get it. Whereas in the multiplayer, it's a little bit more frantic. So
we should give this a try at some point.
I agree.
It sounds like an interesting game.
Yeah, I'd like to review this one for my channel actually at some point. I think that'd be a really cool game that nobody really is talking about, and to really focus on the two-player support. I think that'd be really a fun thing to do, and just to hang out and play the game. It sounds like a lot of fun. So. But the music is... I haven't really listened to the rest of the music in the soundtrack, so I don't know if it's, better or worse or anything. But hopefully it's... I don't know. I was digging this song, but I can understand why somebody else wouldn't, and I also can understand why this specific song maybe wasn't the best pick, because when you loop it, because this version loops... So you hear that conductor stick happening again, and you're like, the version kind of probably could have taken that out and just like looped back into the music, or
Yeah.
But so Kota Hoshino started off working on Echo Knight in 1998. Then they followed up and did the sequel the following year, and then later on did games like Lost Kingdoms, the GameCube exclusive, in 2002. They did a bunch of Armored Core games, like Armored Core 3, Silent Line Armored Core Nexus, etc., etc. Basically, an Armored Core composer working up to Armored Core Verdict Day in 2013 as a sound designer. So mostly doing sound design for those games. Did lead composition on some of them as well. Worked on Tenchu Fatal Shadows in 2004. Otogi 2 Immortal Warriors in 2003. Final game they were credited for as a sound designer was actually Sekiro Shadows Die Twice in 2019. Yep. Then the other final composer, Ikuya worked on Armored Core 2, this game, and Armored Core 2 Another Age in 2001 as the sound staff and composer. So neat. Yeah. So that is it. So now you have to rate that one, and then we'll pick our favorites of the episode.
All right.
So right now the score is 19. And so right now the score is 19 to 16. So I have 16 points. Justin has 19 points. So if Justin gives me a lower score, which he totally can, I totally understand why he would. That means Justin wins the battle.
What happens if we tie, though? Like if I give this a 3 and then we're both...
If we tie, we have to have a duel of the fates where, like, we kill each other. There could only be one. It's like Highlander style.
Oh, well, then you just sealed your fate.
Oh, man. No. How about one of us has to, I don't know, come over to the other's house and play a game or something. I don't know. That is lame. I don't know.
I was gonna say, done. How about you come over to my house and bring this game and we'll play it at my house.
Done.
But yeah, no, I'd give this a 3. It was cute and fun, but it was. I don't think that it was worse than the Live Alive track that you played.
Okay.
So I was hesitant to give it a 2. It just, like I said, it was weird, but
Yeah.
it wasn't so weird that I'm like that it was bad.
Cool.
So,
All right. Well, we
it up.
tied. Interesting how that went. I definitely expected like a winner.
So
So
we just do rock paper scissors.
yeah. Oh yeah. There you go. So favorite songs of all of the lists.
Yeah.
What is your favorite?
I'm going with that Gradius 2 track.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. I'm gonna go with the Sega Rally track. So good.
That was quick.
Yeah, I know.
Quicker than they usually are.
I know.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Like, Gradius 2 is my number 1, and number 2 is the Sega Rally Championship.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we are at 12 minutes. So, and then we have the stuff. All right, so in 2 weeks, we are coming back with a new episode, and that is episode 48. Nope. Shoot. Oh
skipped a
boy,
number.
I did because we never changed. You know what it is? It's because on my doc I put episode 47.
I did the same thing. I copied it when it was 47.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah. So next episode is episode 47, Justin. In 2 weeks, what are we doing and who are we having on the show?
So we're going to do another new thing. I don't think we've done this before. We're calling this a split EP.
Yes.
We're going to be playing tracks from two games called Falcion and Crisis Force.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to be discussing these games and their music with a friend of ours named Dan Lawton.
Yes. Yeah, Dan Lawton writes a lot of good stuff. He's also a huge speedrunner. He wrote a book called The Physics of Video Games. Really cool guy. Been a long-time friend of the podcasts. And so we wanted to have him on to talk about this game. He'll be practicing his speed runs on them, I'm sure, and warming up for us next time on the show. So stay tuned for that. Tons of awesome
Yes.
music. Both games, I believe, are Konami. Both games are Famicom exclusive. Japanese shoot 'em up, shooty soundtracks.
One of them is Famicom
Disc System,
Yeah.
which is Falcion,
Yes.
and then the other game,
Crisis Force.
Force, is a Famicom exclusive.
Yep.
Yeah,
But fantastic music. on
Really
both
good
these
stuff.
Games.
Oh.
So good.
absolutely. All right, so this is Mike
And Justin.
signing off for XVGM Radio. Call it in the air. Heads.
It's heads.
And that was
How do you spell that?
I didn't have it posted.
Like if I give this a 3 and then we're both
If we
19.
tie, we have to have a duel of the fates where like we kill each other. There can only be one. It's like Highlander style.
Oh, well, then you just sealed your fate.
Oh man. No. How about one of us has to, I don't know, come over to the other's house and play a game or something. I don't know. That is lame. I don't know.
I was going to say, done. How about you come over to my house and bring this game and we'll play it at my house.
Done. It's not. It doesn't wow you though.
Yeah.
It's not like wow.
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 Wow. And on that note,
Yeah.